Guess what, guys? I have an iced pumpkin spice latte today. I kind of hate the way that I just said that. I'm sorry, but I do have an iced pumpkin spice latte because it is September, which means two things. It's time for my August wrap up, and it means that it's fall. So, cue the pumpkin spice, cue my room being completely decorated for fall, and now we're going to talk about all the books that I read in August. Honestly, I should really get some like decor? Why did I just say decor for my bookshelf? That way you can see it if I'm filming in front of my bookshelf, because I basically have fall decor everywhere else in my room except for on my bookshelf. So I feel like I should definitely get on that. Cracking open the laptop, going to Notion to see what I read this month because I kind of forget. In August, I read 25 books. I feel like I start every single monthly wrap up by saying, guys, I never want anyone to feel bad about how many books that they read in a month or feel intimidated by how many books, not even just me, but anybody. Like when you watch monthly reading wrap ups, I feel like it does give a sense of FOMO depending on like what you read, but it literally doesn't matter. I've always said if you read one book, that's amazing, because reading is so personal, and that means what you're reading, how much you're reading, how you read. It's all completely personal to you, and all that matters is that you're happy with what you're reading and you're happy with what you're doing. Just know everyone's different. Reading's so personal, and that I don't want anyone to feel bad, because reading is reading no matter how much or what you read. So shall we just get into the monthly reading wrap up? I think so. I think that's what everyone's here for. I feel like I had a good reading month, but there is a part where it gets a little rough. So please stick with me when it gets a little rough, because honestly, I've been having a hard time wanting to say, like, I don't want to be negative, but when I rate a book lower, I want to tell you guys why I rated it lower, but I don't want to seem negative. It's just that they didn't work for me, and that's not anything ever towards the author or anything. I don't want you guys to think that. But when I do have more negative reviews, people are like, do you like any book? And I do, I swear I do. There's just a little bit of a rough patch. I would say probably 5 or 6 books out of the 25 that I didn't like, but the rest of them were pretty decent. So the very first book that I read this month was Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I've been trying to make my way through Taylor Jenkins Reid's backlist. I think the only one left I need to read on her backlist is After I Do, and I plan on reading that in September. But I did read Forever Interrupted. I gave this a 3 stars. Basically, this book deals a lot with grief, and I feel like it got better in the second half because the main character has to deal with her mother-in-law for something that happens, and to see their relationship, like, it really focused on her relationship with the mother-in-law in the second half, which I thought was really refreshing. I thought the take on grief that this had was done very, very well. There really wasn't much else to say about this book. Like, I wasn't super connected with the characters. It wasn't that type of book, but it was a super easy and good read, so I gave it a 3 stars. But next, I read Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. If you guys know, I was being so picky with this book because it just came out in the paperback last month, I think in July. Well, no, that would have been August. Last month was August. In July, it came out in the paperback. You guys know that I was waiting on it. I didn't read it in the hardback. I refused. So I finally read it, and I gave it a 4.5 stars. I loved this book. The thing is that I feel like the main critique with this book is people are like, oh, this book is so cheesy. But for like me, I love rom-coms. I love a good cheesy romantic comedy movie. I mean, at least it can't be too cringy. But I love, like, you know, When Harry Met Sally, You Got Mail, 10 Things I Hate About You, 13 Going on 30, like the originals, the pavement for rom-coms. So I loved this. This actually reminded me a lot of the movie The Duff, if you guys have seen that movie. I got those vibes from this. I feel like, aren't both of the guys' names Wes in The Duff and in this book? This is about Liz and Wes. They're neighbors. They're kind of like rivals. They're always pulling pranks on each other. And basically Liz likes one of Wes's friends, and he's like, I'll help you get with this guy. So it has all the basic rom-com tropes, and something that I thought was so cute about this book was that at the beginning of every single chapter, it has a quote from a rom-com. I basically just thought that this book was really cute. It just felt like reading a romantic, well, this is a romantic comedy. I was literally about to say it feels like reading a rom-com when you quite literally are, but what I meant is that it's so involved around movies, and like I already said, I love rom-com, so I feel like I really liked that, and it felt like just reading a classic rom-com movie. So I really, really liked it. It was super predictable, but to me it was fine. Like, it was just such a nice and easy book to get through. It's YA, so the writing is always, I feel like, super simple, so I really like this. This was a 4.5 for me. It was one of my favorites of the month. Another favorite that I had this month was The Dead Romantics. This book started getting a little bit of hype, I think, in July, and so I picked it up. I didn't really know what to expect from this. I just kind of went into it. I had heard some things about what this book was about. I'm not going to tell you guys because, I don't know, some people don't like to hear the synopsis. Sometimes the synopsis gives things away. So basically what I will tell you is that the main character has to go back to her hometown for something that happened, and basically she doesn't like her hometown because something happened and she doesn't like to be reminded of the things that happened. And then there's this like other storyline that I can't get into because it is a spoiler. I love this book. I did guess like what was going to happen. I definitely guessed the road that it was going down, but I was so glad that that was the road it went down. Like, I was so relieved. It was more like I guessed, but really it was just like hoping that that was how the book was going to span out. Oh my gosh, this book, I don't know why, the vibes, I plan on doing like a fall book recommendation video coming in the next like week or so, and this will definitely be in it. I feel like this book is so good for fall. Like, the vibes were so good. I think her hometown is in Massachusetts or something. I just really loved the setting. I loved the characters. I loved every single one of the characters. I felt like they were so good. I loved like the storyline that was going on, and you guys are probably like, okay, well, you're not telling us the storyline. I'm just telling you guys to read it. This was a 4.25 stars for me, which I know I hate when I do like 4.25 or 4.75, but it just works. I really liked it. I would definitely recommend you guys to read it. Here, okay, so this is when I started to get into, I was trying to film a video, which didn't end up working out. I tried to film it multiple times, and I'm gonna try to film it this month. For that video, I started reading the Shatter Me series. I started continuing it because you guys literally begged me to. Begged me. I kid you not, every single time I mentioned Shatter Me, I would get probably 50 comments being like, please continue on the Shatter Me series. I did. First book that I read was Destroy Me. This is in the Unite Me bind up for the Destroy Me and Fracture Me novellas. So I read Destroy Me, which is a novella from Warner's POV. I actually rated the Destroy Me novella a 3 stars. I really liked how we got Warner's POV and we got a lot of background on him. So you start to understand why he is the way that he is, and you start to hear him out. You're like, okay, well, I understand now. And I just really liked it, so I gave it a 3 stars. And then you go to Unravel Me, which I also gave a 3 stars. This book, I felt like it started out, I don't know, the way that Shatter Me ended, I was kind of like uninterested on how it was going to span out. And then I picked this up and I was just felt like it was super boring and nothing was happening in the beginning and middle, but the characters made it enjoyable. And then once we got to the end, I really liked the way it ended. And I was excited to pick the book back up and get to the ending. So I gave it a 3 stars. I then went to Fracture Me, which is the second novella in this. And this is from Adam's POV, who is another character in the Shatter Me series. And I rated this a 1 star. I really did not like this book. I don't care about Adam, especially after I got further into the series. But even at this point in the series, I really started to dislike his character, which I didn't know could happen from the first one. And so I hated it. I hated his POV. I didn't care. I gave it a 1 star. And then I went to Ignite Me, which I also gave a 3 stars because something that I feel like keeps happening to me with these books in this series, a book will end and it will be in so strong. So then you're excited to pick up the next book and you think that the book is going to, you know, be fast paced. It's going to start really, really well. And then it doesn't. It's boring for the first part of the book in the middle and then it ends really good. That's the same exact thing that happened with this one, except I did feel like I enjoyed it more than Unravel Me, but it was still 3 stars for me because I was like, okay, we are getting some more character development, but there's also some things that just annoyed me about this book. So I gave it a 3 stars, which literally so frustrates me. It's not that I don't like these books. It's just that I feel like they're very, oh my God, I don't want to use the word mediocre, but they're just like enjoyable, but they're not everything to me. So then at this point, this is when I started reading books for my 48-hour readathon video, and I feel like I really went into depth with these books in that video. So if you guys really want my opinions on these books, then I would tell you guys to go watch that video because I feel like I already went in depth. And again, these are the books that I hated this month. Like, these are the books that didn't do well, so I don't really want to talk negative again in another video. So the first book that I read, 56 Days, I gave gave this a 2 stars, which I am actually lowering to a 1.5. The more that I think about this book, the more that I dislike it. I just didn't like this book. Then I read The Hunting Wives, which I gave a 2 stars. I really didn't like this book either because it just felt like this was supposed to be a thriller, and it didn't get thriller-ish until like the very end of the book. The main character was super unlikable for me. She was ruining so many things by being obsessed with somebody else when she had such a good life, and it just felt like a bunch of the Real Housewives drama if they went and shot shotguns sometimes. And then I read Layla by Colleen Hoover, which I also gave it 2 stars. This isn't like really advertised to be as much as a thriller as Verity is, but it just wasn't good. I literally guessed the plot twist before I even picked up this freaking book, so that tells you a lot. Then I picked up Lock Every Door. I also gave this a 2 stars. Didn't like it. This plot twist was so weird, and I just didn't feel like it was really even a good plot twist. And then also there was a subplot that you have throughout the whole entire book, and it's brought up literally so many times, and you think that something's going to happen with it. No, nothing happens with it. So, and then I read one of the, I think, most hyped up book of the month on TikTok, Instagram, everywhere, and that is Magnolia Parks. I gave this a 2.5 stars. Really didn't like this book. To be fair, I didn't know anything about this book going into it. I had just seen the cover everywhere, and I was like, okay, I want to read it. I feel like I'm kind of on the first spike of this being hype, so I want to see what all of the hype is about. I read it. No, not for me. It's kind of like a toxic relationship. This writing was so odd to go into. It literally, I was like 100 pages in and still couldn't get used to the writing. I've never read writing like this. I don't know if it's because they're supposed to be like British or something. I have no clue. I just know that I didn't absolutely love this, but I do think that I'm going to give the rest of the series a chance because I've already bought the rest of the books. But then I read The House Across the Lake, which I gave it 4.5 stars. I really like this book. Also, this book starts out with a Taylor Swift quote from Nobody No Crime. I think he did it, but I just can't prove it. How freaking iconic is that? This book deserves that rating just for that alone. I like this. I thought that the plot twist was really good. I liked the way that this spanned out. It was a little kind of odd. I just went with it. It was just vibing. I liked it. But then I read The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley and freaking hated it. I gave this book a 1.5 stars. It was so bad. I didn't care about any of the characters. It was boring for me. Plot twist was terrible, and I could guess it. And it just, no, this book just wasn't it for me. I swear I wanted to also just like go through that because those were like the books that I really didn't like this month. I just really didn't want to keep on talking about it, but if you guys are super interested in what I have to say, go watch my 48-hour readathon video because I do go in on these books in that video. But next I read a few books on my Kindle. I read Bittersweet Memories. I gave this book a 4.25 stars. Oh my gosh, I really liked this book. I love the guy in this book, and I loved the storyline of this book, which I can't tell you guys because it's literally a spoiler. And I went on TikTok. I found this book recommendation off of TikTok, and they literally said the storyline, and it was like a huge spoiler. Like, it doesn't happen until maybe like 150-ish pages in. Just know I'm not saying the storyline, but it was so good. It has a past and present. They have history. Like, it, oh my gosh, I loved it. This is still my 48-hour readathon, by the way. I read Brutal Prince. This was like the last book that I finished, and I gave Brutal Prince a 4 stars, which is super surprising for me with mafia romances. I don't dislike them, but the thing about mafia romances is that I'm so hyper specific about how the guy has to be for me to really enjoy them, and I really liked the guy and the girl and the family. I can't wait to continue on with this series by Sophie Lark. I just feel like they're just quick, easy, different types of reads. Now guys, now we're going into some of my 5-star books. These are new 5-star reads for me. I love these. I cannot wait for the rest of the series. I literally love them so much. And that is Binding 13 and Keeping 13. Now, I mean, disclaimer, these books are so thick. They're like over 500 pages each, and mine was such a baby font, but I enjoyed every single second of reading these books. Like, I literally was never bored. I loved every single second. I loved the characters. This takes place, I think it's over in Dublin, so it's a little confusing sometimes, like the slang that's used, but the schooling system is also a little bit different and hard to get used to in this book, but the author does like have a key in the back, and I don't know, I just loved these books. It has found family aspect. They're all in high school. These 2 books surround Johnny and Shannon, I would look up trigger warnings for these books as well because there are some triggering subjects in them. I really loved them. I loved the book. I love the found family aspect. You guys know I love found family in books, and I love when there's a super close-knit friend group, and that's exactly how this book was. There's so many funny points. Like, these books were genuinely so funny. I loved the character Gibbsy. He's one of the friends, and I can't wait for his book. He is literally everything. I love him. He was so funny, and I loved his personality and everything that he added into it. And I loved Johnny and Shannon, and I'm so excited for everyone else's books in the series. I'm telling you guys, please go read these. Even though they're so long, I literally can't wait to finish them. Then I randomly tried to film this video again where I was reading fantasy books, and I picked up Restore Me, and I gave this actually a 4 stars because even though this book still felt like there was nothing going on, the stuff that was happening was pretty interesting to me. Like, I really liked kind of the road we were going down with the story, and I loved the way that this book ended. I loved the characters in this book. Like, everything about this book I really liked, so I give it a 4 stars. Loved it. Well, love is a strong word. And then I finally read Some Kind of Perfect. Of course, I rated this a 5 stars. This is the epilogue novel to the Addicted Calloway sister series. You get everyone's POV in this. Well, the core 6's POV. And it was just kind of like a bunch of stories of stuff that was happening with them. Little things that you would like the insight on what happened later on into their life. So I really liked it. 5 stars. Can't go wrong. And then I ran to Barnes & Noble and picked up Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. Had to read this literally as soon as it came out. Like, I had to read this as soon as it came out, and I gave this a 4.75 stars. It was so close to a 5. I don't know though, I'm just like, it didn't give me that 5-star feeling like Binding and Keeping 13 did, but I still loved this book. I loved Levi in this book. I loved just everything about it. I loved the way Levi is. There's also this different story plot line that I completely guessed, but I don't even care that I guessed it. I just loved everything about this book. It was so sweet. It was so easy to get through, and I just enjoyed like every single moment of it. There was something that happens at the end that I felt like was so out of left field that I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming because I didn't really think something like that was going to happen. Another thing that I finally did this month, guys, I read A Court of Mist and Fury, and I annotated it, I highlighted and tabbed it, which you guys can't really see the tabs because I tab really small where they don't really stick out because I don't really like seeing the tabs, but I tabbed it and I freaking loved it. I loved it. This was my favorite book out of the whole entire series. I rated this a 5 stars. I freaking loved it. Oh my god. Rhysand? Oh my god. I literally got like a snippet of him in ACOTAR, and I was obsessed with him. So imagine me getting this book and being even more obsessed with him. Literally love. And then I was looking up TikToks after I read this book. Like, I looked up A Court of Mist and Fury because you know the TikTok people. You know people on TikTok are posting TikToks about this. I looked it up, and then I saw the fan art for Rhysand and the whole entire like night court. Oh my gosh, it helped me picture them so much better. It made me captivated with this story. I was captivated. I loved it. I never thought I was gonna love this series like I do, but I do. I loved this. And then I went straight into A Court of Wings and Ruin. I also annotated this one. Again, you guys can't really see the tabs that well because I don't really like stick the tabs out, but I also like annotate and highlight all throughout it. I also love this one. I gave this one a 4.75 stars because it wasn't on A Court of Mist and Fury, but I still loved it because I loved all the characters. Like, this also kind of has like a found family aspect. I love this book. All of the connections that you start seeing for the rest of the series that form in this book. This book also has a huge plot that takes place. The end had me on an emotional roller coaster. I did not know how to feel. I was like, okay, am I supposed to be sad, happy, confused? All of them. I was supposed to be all of them at one time. I was devastated. I was absolutely amazed. I was everything. I was so enchanted, captivated, enthralled into this story. I don't know what like drugs are put in between these pages that made me want to read a almost 700 page book in the span of like a few hours. Guys, I'm not joking. I'm not. I stayed up all night and read this book in one sitting. And then literally in that same night, which, fun fact, I actually did a video where I vlogged my all-nighter that I pulled to read Aka War and A Court of Frost and Starlight, I was just doing like a fun little all-nighter video. That's the video that I deleted off my SD card. I posted about it on my Instagram the other day. I was like, I'm an idiot because my SD card ran out of footage, so I went to delete like footage I didn't need, and I deleted that whole entire video, and it was so good. It had a lot of comedic material in it, and I deleted it. I read A Court of Frost and Starlight. This is basically just a novella, and it basically is just like life after what happens in Aka War. Winter Solstice, the Winter Solstice. This was just like a 3-star for me because I don't feel like it really added anything. I feel like it kind of gave you a glimpse into maybe what's going to happen in A Court of Silver Flames, but I don't feel like it really added too much, so it was just a 3-star for me. And then the very last book that I read this month was none other than The Final Gambit. Yeah, guys, I had to read this before the month was over. I absolutely loved this one. It wasn't my favorite in this series. I gave this a 4.5 stars. I did guess like one of the things as soon as it like came up in the beginning of the book. Like I guessed it like that. I knew exactly what was going to happen, and I was right about that. I wasn't right about everything, but I was right about a really big thing. Also, the love triangle in this book. I did think that she ended up with who she should end up with. That made the most sense. I do think though that there was like a lot of unnecessary drama in this book pertaining to the love triangle when it was just so clear who she was going to be with. It was like, why are we adding unnecessary drama? But I still liked it nonetheless. It's just like that annoyed me, and little things that just happened that I felt like were so unnecessary annoyed me, so it was a 4.5, but I still loved it. This whole entire series for me is a 5-star. I loved. But anyway, those are all 25 books that I read this month. Hope you guys liked this video. If you guys did, you guys know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff that you guys know how to do. Thank you so much for watching, and I just want to say again, thank you guys so much. At the end of every month, I just kind of reminisce on the month that I've had, the past month that I've had on the YouTube app, and I just want to say thank you guys so much. I appreciate every single one of you. I could not be doing this without you guys, and I just wanted to let you guys know that I appreciate all of you, and I love all of you guys, and I will see you guys when I see you. Peace.